If you've been dealing with kidney concerns for a while, we probably have something in common. You've heard the advice, you've made the changes, and maybe, like a lot of people I work with, you've wondered, am I doing this right? Protein, especially, can feel confusing. On one hand, you need it for energy, for healing, for keeping your muscles strong. On the other hand, you've probably heard that too much protein, or the wrong kind, can add extra work for kidneys that are already working hard. So, which is it? Here's what I've learned after 25 years as a cardiologist. Working alongside nephrologists and caring for thousands of patients with heart and kidney concerns, I've seen clear patterns. The answer isn't to avoid protein. The answer is to choose it thoughtfully. And honestly, once you understand a few key principles, it becomes a lot simpler than you might expect. So today, we're going to walk through this together. I'll show you 4 protein sources that tend to work well for people managing kidney health. And I'll point out 6 that are worth reconsidering, along with the reasons why. I'll also share some practical cooking tips, what to look for on labels, and a simple daily habit that many of my patients have found helpful. Let's start with something that might already be in your kitchen: egg whites. I know. Not the most exciting food in the world, but stay with me here, because there's a reason egg whites show up on nearly every kidney-conscious eating plan. Think of protein like fuel for your body. Some fuels burn clean, leaving very little residue. Others burn less efficiently and create more waste that your system has to process. Egg whites are about as clean burning as protein gets. They have what nutritionists call high biological value. That basically means your body can use almost every gram of protein you eat. Less waste to filter. Less work for your kidneys. Here's what makes them a particularly thoughtful choice for kidney health. 1 large egg white contains only about 10 milligrams of phosphorus. Compare that to a whole egg, which has around 86 milligrams. That difference matters because when kidneys aren't working at full capacity, phosphorus can build up in the blood over time. Keeping phosphorus in a comfortable range helps protect your bones and your cardiovascular system. Egg whites are also naturally low in purines. These are compounds that break down into uric acid. For people whose kidneys are already managing a lot, keeping uric acid levels steady can make a real difference in how you feel day to day. Maria's discovery. Let me tell you about Maria. She's 62, a retired teacher, and when she first came to see me, she was feeling frustrated. She'd been eating what she thought was healthy: chicken, turkey, lean meats. But her phosphorus levels kept creeping up, and her energy was all over the place. We talked about making a simple swap. Instead of chicken at every meal, she started having egg whites a few days a week. Steamed, scrambled with vegetables, even added to her morning oatmeal. Within about 2 months, her phosphorus came back into her target range. And she told me something I hear often. She said, "I feel lighter." Not just physically, but mentally too. Like I have one less thing to worry about. That's what I love about this approach. It's not about restriction. It's about finding choices that work with your body, not against it. Practical tips. For most people, 3 to 4 egg whites a day works well. Boiling or light scrambling keeps things simple. If you're using liquid egg whites from a carton, just check the label for added salt or preservatives. Look for options that list egg whites as the only ingredient. One thing to keep in mind: cooking your egg whites thoroughly is important. Raw egg whites can interfere with biotin absorption, and we want all your B vitamins working for you. Now, if you're someone who prefers plant-based options, or you're looking to mix things up, let me introduce you to something that might surprise you. Tofu. I can already hear some of you saying, "Really? Tofu?" I get it. Tofu has a reputation for being bland, boring, something health-conscious people eat while secretly wishing it was something else. But here's the thing. When it comes to kidney health, tofu has some genuine advantages that are worth knowing about. A half-cup serving gives you about 10 grams of quality plant protein. That's enough to support your muscles and energy without overwhelming your system. The phosphorus content is around 120 milligrams per serving. That's notably less than many animal proteins. But here's what's interesting. The phosphorus in plant foods like tofu is absorbed differently by your body. It's bound to something called phytates, which means your system doesn't absorb it as readily as the phosphorus in processed foods or some meats. Think of it this way. Two foods might have the same amount of phosphorus on the label, but your body might absorb 60% from one and only 30% from the other. With tofu, you're generally on the lower end of that absorption spectrum. Tofu also brings some anti-inflammatory compounds to the table. Isoflavones, and antioxidants that research suggests may help calm inflammation in kidney tissues. Less inflammation often means better function over time. Mark's experience. I want to share what happened with Mark, a 58-year-old who was, let's just say, not a tofu enthusiast. When I first suggested it, he looked at me like I'd suggested he take up skydiving. I thought it was bland and boring, he told me later. But his phosphorus was stubbornly elevated, and he was willing to try something different. So he started adding firm tofu to soups and stir-fries, maybe 3 times a week. After about 2 months, his numbers improved. But what he mentioned most was how much better he felt. Less bloated, more energy. He even started experimenting with different seasonings and actually enjoying it. His exact words were, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually look forward to my tofu stir-fry nights now." How to make it work. If you're giving tofu a try, here are some pointers. Silken or soft tofu blends beautifully into smoothies, or can be scrambled like eggs. Firm tofu holds up well when baked, grilled, or lightly stir-fried. The key is keeping the sodium low. Use coconut aminos or low-sodium soy sauce instead of regular soy sauce. Fresh herbs, garlic, and ginger add lots of flavor without adding salt. Look for organic, non-GMO options when possible, and it's a good idea to avoid pre-marinated varieties. They often come loaded with sodium and added sugars that can work against your goals. Aim for about half a cup per serving, a few times a week. That's enough to make a difference without overdoing it. Speaking of making a difference, let's talk about something from the sea that many of my patients have found helpful. Tilapia is one of those foods that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it probably should. This mild white fish offers about 22 grams of protein per serving, while keeping phosphorus relatively modest at around 170 milligrams. For people managing kidney health, that's a favorable trade-off. You're getting substantial protein to maintain your strength without the higher phosphorus load that comes with some other animal proteins. Tilapia is also easy on the digestive system. Many people find it gentler on the stomach than heavier meats, which matters when you're working to keep everything in balance. It contains selenium and vitamin B12. Both support healthy metabolism and help your body manage oxidative stress, something kidneys deal with quite a bit. George's journey. George is 67 and has been navigating stage 3 kidney concerns for several years. He came to me with elevated urea levels and, honestly, not much appetite. Heavy meats weren't appealing to him anymore. We talked about lighter options, and he decided to try steamed tilapia twice a week, served with zucchini and fresh herbs. Within a few weeks, he noticed he felt more energized. His blood work started moving in a better direction, and he told me I was surprised how satisfying it was. Light but filling, and my numbers are finally cooperating. Preparing tilapia well. When it comes to preparation, gentle methods work best. Steaming, baking, or grilling. These approaches keep the fish flavorful without adding unnecessary sodium or unhealthy fats. Fresh herbs like parsley, rosemary, or a squeeze of lemon can make a simple piece of fish taste wonderful. You really don't need heavy sauces or deep frying. A good portion is about 4 ounces, 1 to 2 times per week. And when you're shopping, look for USDA certified or wild-caught options from reputable sources. Quality matters with fish. One pairing tip, and this is something to think about. Go for lower potassium vegetables alongside your fish. Green beans, cauliflower, or cabbage work nicely. You might want to save the avocado for another meal. Now, let's round out our protein recommendations with something that might not be on your radar yet. Quinoa is a small grain with some big advantages. Unlike most grains, quinoa is a complete protein. That means it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs, but can't make on its own. 1 cooked cup gives you about 8 grams of protein. And here's what makes it particularly interesting for kidney health. It has relatively modest levels of both potassium and phosphorus compared to legumes like beans or lentils. Quinoa is also rich in fiber, which supports healthy digestion. Good digestion helps your body clear waste products more efficiently, which eases some of the burden on your kidneys. The protein quality in quinoa is impressive. It has an amino acid profile similar to milk protein, which means your body uses it very efficiently. You get the benefit without needing large portions. Sandra's discovery. Sandra is 70 and has been managing stage 4 kidney concerns. She'd been struggling to find a grain that didn't upset her stomach or push her potassium higher. Rice was okay, but she wanted more variety. She started having quinoa a few times a week, about half a cup at dinner, paired with steamed vegetables. She noticed better digestion, more stable energy, and fewer fluctuations in her lab results. She told me, "It's simple, has a nice nutty flavor, and fills me up without feeling heavy." Making the most of quinoa. If you're new to quinoa, here's an important tip. Rinse it thoroughly before cooking. This removes natural compounds called saponins that can give it a bitter taste. You can also find pre-rinsed varieties that save you a step. Use plain water for cooking rather than broth, which often contains hidden sodium. Half to 1 cup per day is a reasonable amount for most people. Quinoa pairs beautifully with roasted vegetables, a drizzle of olive oil, and fresh herbs. It's versatile enough to work in warm dishes or cold salads. So those are 4 protein sources that tend to work well for people supporting their kidney health. Now, let's shift gears and talk about some proteins that deserve a closer look. Now, I want to be clear about something. The proteins we're about to discuss aren't necessarily bad foods. For someone with healthy kidneys, they might be perfectly fine. But when your kidneys are working hard, or when you're trying to keep certain numbers in a good range, Some protein sources can add extra work that might be better to avoid. This isn't about fear. It's about making informed choices that support your particular situation. Let's go through 6 proteins that often come up in these conversations. Turkey bacon is one of those foods that sounds like a healthier choice. And in some ways, it can be. It's typically lower in fat than regular bacon. But here's the irony. Sometimes the healthy swap isn't quite as healthy as the marketing would have us believe. I learned this one the hard way myself years ago when I thought I was making a smart choice at the grocery store. Turkey bacon is still heavily processed, and it tends to be high in sodium. One slice can have around 500 milligrams. That's a significant portion of what most people managing kidney health should have in an entire day. The processing often involves phosphate additives, which are absorbed more readily than the natural phosphorus in whole foods. This can contribute to elevated phosphorus levels even when portion sizes seem modest. Angela, who's 64 and managing her kidney health, thought switching from pork bacon to turkey bacon was a smart move. But her labs told a different story. Her phosphorus stayed elevated, and her blood pressure wasn't improving. When she moved away from processed meats altogether, her numbers started to shift in a better direction. She told me, "I thought I was eating better. Now I really read the labels." The takeaway here isn't that you can never have bacon. It's that processed, even when it seems healthy, deserves a second look. This one surprises a lot of people. Red lentils are praised for being high in protein and fiber. For people without kidney concerns, they're a great choice. But 1 cup of cooked red lentils contains over 350 milligrams of phosphorus and around 700 milligrams of potassium. For someone working to keep these minerals in balance, that's a substantial amount in a single serving. Harold is 59 and follows a plant-based diet. He was using red lentils almost daily in soups and curries. When he started experiencing fatigue and some irregular heartbeat sensations, we took a closer look. Once we adjusted his meals, swapping lentils for lower potassium options like quinoa, his energy improved and his lab results stabilized. The lesson? Just because something is plant-based doesn't automatically mean it's the best choice for your situation. It's always smart to check the specifics. Hot dogs are a comfort food for many people, and I understand the appeal. They're quick, familiar, and satisfying. Plus, they remind a lot of us of baseball games and backyard barbecues. Some foods just carry good memories. But they're also highly processed, which means they typically contain significant amounts of sodium, nitrates, and phosphate preservatives. These additives can contribute to inflammation and add to the filtering work your kidneys need to do. Michael is 71 and used to enjoy hot dogs as a quick lunch. When his blood pressure worsened and his kidney function tests started showing more strain, we looked at his eating patterns. Cutting out processed meats like hot dogs helped stabilize his numbers. He found that baked chicken, tofu, and grilled fish satisfied him just as well once he got used to the change. A general principle here: if a food has more ingredients than you can easily pronounce, it might be time to reconsider. Whey protein powders are popular, especially among people who exercise regularly or want an easy protein boost. For people with healthy kidneys, they're generally fine. But whey isolates are concentrated forms of protein that can generate more nitrogen byproducts during digestion. These byproducts need to be filtered out by your kidneys. Unlike whole food protein sources, whey isolates don't come with the balancing fiber, antioxidants, and other nutrients that help your body process protein more gently.
Dan is 48 and was using whey protein daily in his smoothies. He figured it was healthy since he was working out. But over time, his creatinine started trending upward and his energy declined. When he switched to getting his protein from whole foods like egg whites and tofu, his kidney markers improved and his energy came back. He told me, "I never thought something so common could be putting extra strain on my system."
If you're using protein supplements, it's a good idea to discuss with your healthcare team whether whole food sources might work better for your situation. Canned beans are convenient, I get it, but the canning process typically adds significant sodium, and black beans are naturally high in potassium. Even after draining and rinsing, 1 cup of canned black beans still delivers around 600 milligrams of potassium. For someone trying to manage their levels, that's a meaningful amount. Teresa, 66, was proud of her vegetarian diet. She ate canned beans daily, believing they were heart-healthy. But her potassium kept climbing, and she couldn't figure out why. After reviewing her food journal, we made some adjustments. She switched to well-soaked dried beans in smaller portions and incorporated lower potassium grains. Her levels stabilized within a few weeks. If you enjoy beans, consider dried varieties that you soak and cook yourself. This gives you more control over sodium and allows some of the potassium to leach out during soaking. I know, steak is satisfying. It feels substantial, and it's a good source of protein. But beef also contains significant phosphorus and tends to be higher in saturated fat. It produces more uric acid during digestion, which can be problematic for people whose kidneys are working to maintain balance. James is 72 and was eating beef 3 to 4 times a week. He believed meat gives strength, and he's not wrong that protein is important. But over time, his uric acid levels rose. He started experiencing painful gout flare-ups, and his kidney markers weren't looking great. After scaling back on beef and substituting some meals with fish, tofu, and quinoa, his symptoms improved noticeably. He told me, "I still enjoy food, but now it works with my body, not against it." This doesn't mean you can never have a steak, but if kidney health is a priority, choosing lighter proteins more often can make a real difference. Before we wrap up, I want to share one daily habit that many of my patients have found helpful. It's not about food, it's about movement. A morning walk. Just 20 to 30 minutes after waking up. Walking improves circulation, which helps deliver oxygen to your kidneys and supports their filtering work. It also helps with blood sugar regulation and blood pressure management, 2 factors that strongly influence kidney health over time. Research from institutions like the Cleveland Clinic has shown that regular light exercise can support kidney function. It doesn't have to be intense. A gentle walk counts. One patient told me, "It's like my body wakes up with my kidneys every morning." That's a nice way to think about it. If walking isn't possible for you, any gentle movement you can manage consistently will help. The key is doing something your body can sustain. Now, some important things I need to say. Everything I've shared today is general information based on what works for many people with kidney concerns. But you are not general. You're specific. Your situation is unique. Please work with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making significant changes to your eating patterns. They can look at your labs, understand your specific stage and circumstances, and help you create a plan that makes sense for you. If you're taking medications, keep taking them as prescribed. Good food choices support your treatment. They don't replace it. And if you experience any concerning symptoms, please seek medical attention right away. I'm talking about things like severe fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, significant swelling in your legs, ankles, or feet, difficulty breathing, chest pain, or confusion that comes on suddenly. These could indicate something that needs immediate care. When in doubt, call your doctor or 911. Results vary from person to person. What worked beautifully for Maria or Mark might work differently for you. That's normal. The goal is progress, not perfection. So let's bring this together. Proteins that tend to work well for kidney health: egg whites, tofu, tilapia, and quinoa. Proteins worth reconsidering: turkey bacon, red lentils, hot dogs, whey protein supplements, canned black beans, and frequent beef. And one daily habit that supports everything else: gentle movement, like a morning walk. Managing kidney health isn't about being perfect. It's about making thoughtful choices, one meal at a time. You're already doing something important just by being here, learning, and staying engaged with your health. I'm rooting for you, one smart choice at a time. If this information was helpful for you, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing to the channel. We share practical, research-based guidance for people who want to support their health as they get older. And if you know someone who might benefit from this, maybe a friend or family member dealing with similar concerns, feel free to share it with them. In our next video, we'll explore some kidney-friendly snack options that actually taste good, because eating well shouldn't feel like punishment. Until then, take good care of yourself.